I'm Becky McCoy, and you're listening to Stories of Unfolding Grace, the podcast about grace during unexpected times. You'll hear from real people dealing with hard stuff, and I hope you'll feel encouraged that you can bravely live through hard stuff too. This is episode 8. I'm chatting with my friend Emily Heller about her experience with the Peace Corps, with job applications that take much longer than they feel like they should take to come through, and with choosing to take risks and be brave when life isn't quite turning out how you expected. I'm here today with my friend Emily Heller. We had the pleasure of going to high school together and happened to be living in the same town again for a short amount of time. So this is Emily.
Hi.
And Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about a difficult season or struggle that you've experienced?
Sure. So the strongest example from my life is a story I love telling. It's when I was in the process of applying to serve in the Peace Corps. This was back probably about 4 years ago when I was following up on that dream, planned a few years before that, and it was coming kind of to fruition.
So just for a little bit of background, how did you want to serve in the Peace Corps? Because that could mean a million different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard about the Peace Corps in church, actually. A friend was saying, okay, we're going off. She was going off to serve in the Peace Corps and, showed a promotional video of what it was. And I saw that, and, they showed the basic, okay, you go to live in a country for 2 years as a volunteer helping in development projects, and then you share in friendship, international friendship. And they showed a bunch of pictures of the African savannah and all the projects you get to do. And I saw that, so yeah, that seems awesome. Ding, ding. Why doesn't everybody do that? Yeah. And I think I was 15 at the time though, and you pretty much have to be 22 out of college. So waited 7 years. And in that time, I was actually really scared, because while I had found a perfect excuse to do Peace Corps, I wanted to save the rainforest, and everybody in my career field that I had been talking to, mentors and such, were you have to do Peace Corps. That's just going to get you the life skills, and of course you get to have an amazing experience anyway that makes you a better person. Yeah. And yeah, so I knew professionally how to do it, but I was getting so many voices from other people saying oh, it's so hard to apply and to get in. It's really competitive, just voices of doubt saying, don't even try. And I was doing an internship in DC, my junior year. So, kind of before my senior year, when I was thinking of the right time to apply. And I was with another intern when I was telling her these fears. And she just said, matter-of-factly, just because something's hard doesn't mean you don't do it. And I thought, that's so simple and yet so true, of course.
Yeah.
And that gave me the courage just to apply. And even in the application process, I was back home at that time, kind of in between AmeriCorps stuff and going to Peace Corps. It took a really long time because I was also applying to grad school at the time, and so I was near family and church members from back home that were concerned for safety when I was applying to Peace Corps. At the same time, unfortunately, a young woman serving in Africa through a series of misfortunes was murdered in her service, so everybody was focusing on that and the worst thing that could happen.
Right, that one horrible thing.
Exactly. And asking me, oh, what are you going to do about, if that were to happen, for your service? And I was like, I don't know. Yeah, kind of elaborating on that, I guess. At the end of the day, it got to the point, it was do you do this or do you not do this? And I got an offer. I did a pro-con list. And at the end of the day, it was you need to go do this to help people. Yeah. This isn't about you, really. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, of course, for yourself. But
there's a bigger purpose.
Yeah, I was like, God is calling me to do this flat out. Like, I have to do this. And if I have to risk my life, like, if I had to die for God, I would do it. And so I leaped.
Yeah. So you mentioned you did your pro-con list, and you are like my queen of pros and cons lists. Which is, it's a really easy way to make a really tough decision more practical and tangible and objective. But how did you react to all this conflicting advice and a really hard, tough, scary decision emotionally?
Yeah, emotionally, I would range from, excited at the prospect and then the self-doubt at my own worth that I kind of mentioned and fear of anything bad happening to, I don't know if trust is an emotion, but like just ultimately leaning on God and trusting God for what he called on my heart to jump for. So it's almost I guess emotion would be desperation, but yeah, those were kind of the ups and downs of all of that.
What was the hardest part?
I think probably it came to the few months after I got my offer, but it was like I got an offer in January and it started in April, so I had these months to agonize over these final decisions. And the pro of that is God gave me this wonderful opportunity to research all about Panama and backgrounds of Peace Corps and all this stuff. But when it came down to the final weeks, I just remember lying in bed at night, and I had the fortune of sharing a room with my sister who was still in high school at the time, and just like crawling up in bed with her being like, Dee, I am so scared and just nervous, and I just need comfort right now to know that this is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And she was there for me. Like, she just comforted me and gave me words of wisdom and words of comfort from God, and just made it okay to be curled up in bed and scared.
Right. And that was the year after we graduated college, right?
I started applying the fall of 2009, so after we graduated from college in 2008.
Okay, so almost 2 years after we graduated.
Yeah, I had done some AmeriCorps stuff in between, and then...
So you were still a baby.
Yeah. By the time I think I got the application, or the offer rather, it was January 2011, and the service started in April 2011. So it was one of these just long...
Yeah, a really
rare...
drawn out...
Yeah, they're not all that bad, but some of them are. So mine was one of them.
Right. So talk a little bit more about when you were in the Peace Corps, and what was that like? Because that's another super unique experience that is exciting and awesome, but also comes with a lot of really difficult things.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the depths of that.
I mean, it's definitely its own unique experience. And even within that, like, every Peace Corps country is different. Every Peace Corps service and volunteer and site is a unique combination. So for mine anyway, it's like summarizing 2 years of your life.
So maybe like where your placement was, what the challenges were with that.
Sure. So I was in Panama, and God totally answered my prayers there because I was hoping to be somewhere where there were tropical rainforests.
Right.
And
speaking Spanish.
Speak my Spanish, exactly. And work with that. And so that, just gave me cause for more confidence in God and where he was calling me and leading me and holding me in his hands. And so, there were up days, there were down days, but overall, I felt the concern about safety being addressed as soon as I got there. Like, the staff were incredible. And I was like, okay, you guys got this. You, train us in how to do development work and be, smart Americans in a foreign country, white people among, caramel-colored people and not speaking the local language and being a female in general. Like, how would you be safe in New York City at night? Like, that's the kind of just safe mentality you would apply anywhere in these situations. So that was amazing. And then the camaraderie with other Peace Corps volunteers, just people who got it and were going through it right there with you. Just be able to process it and mentally have that support system. Never mind the local Panamanians. I don't know what the heck I was afraid of. It was like, okay, remember that original video that got you excited?
Yeah.
This is why. people, in, at least where I was, like, not, again, every service is welcoming necessarily to Peace Corps volunteers, that is. But they are such loving, opening, warm, giving people. And I had the best host family experiences. And I do think that was a gift from God, because even within my own service, like, other volunteers had, you know, not like the best matches with all of their host families, or had to learn to adjust. And I was very, very blessed. So that, and once I learned Spanish, like, to actually speak in conversation mode and not just from classes I had taken from
high school Spanish. Yeah.
I quickly realized, once I got to my site and I saw that God literally looked at my prayer checklist and not only checked off everything, but beyond my wildest expectations. Yeah. Like, I found a second home and people who were not just loving Latinos, but we had the environment in common. We had God in common. And when the job wasn't, happening, like, I just had friends. And it's a rare feeling to have that connection with someone clear across the globe who has a completely different culture, language, and background.
You have almost nothing in common with. Yeah. So that's cool, because it ended up being this really positive experience with its own challenges, but a positive experience after a year and a half of paperwork and jumping through hoops and frustrating. Is this the right thing for me to do? So how do you feel like you handled that long, drawn-out process? Do you feel like you handled it well? Would you do it differently next time?
I wish I wouldn't stress so much and worry about all the what ifs and the possible negativities that could go wrong. I wish I could just trust God for who he says he is and who he has proven to be time and time again, that he is Father and creator of all. And, like, if you put yourself in his hands, to just believe in him and follow and walk in him, like, you have so many promises and blessings of good fortune. Even if things don't go well, like, he's there for you, and he's there for your good. And to not look at the glass half empty, or, oh my gosh, the glass is spilling, like, no. Like, there's good out there too. And it's focusing on that hope and possibility, and not cowering in fear, really. Yeah. Like, you are so much more than I think, at least in my case, like, who I think I am. Yeah. Like, God's made me to be more than I give myself credit for. So, that's what I would love to just do differently, even though in those spaces, God met me. And, when you're at your weakest, he's at his strongest. So, silver lining, I guess.
Choosing to live bravely and authentically is important to me, and I'm guessing it's something you are interested in too. You can learn more about my story at my blog, BeckyLMcCoy.com. Stop by and sign up to receive my monthly newsletter. It includes all sorts of interesting tidbits and family updates. Check the show notes for details. Hey, I'd love your help with something. If you're enjoying Stories of Unfolding Grace, please share it with your friends and subscribe in iTunes. If you leave a rating, it'll help other listeners to find the podcast. Thanks so much for being on this journey with me. So we're talking about this idea of grace during struggle, and the idea is that good things happen even when there are more bad things happening. How did you see good things happen? How did you see grace show up during this hard season?
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw grace, a great example would be, I guess, with my language skills. Like, I learned enough Spanish ahead of time and definitely in service to qualify to be in a community and could communicate well enough with everybody in my site. But there were still words I didn't know, vocab I couldn't, like, say verbs the way I wanted to, or things that people in the campo who do not have teeth and, like, have an accent and, like, all these, like, idiomisms or whatever that, you just don't know what they're saying. And I'd go to God, be like, I am not good enough. Like, I can't know Spanish. Like, I'm failing. I'm not doing my job. In fact, one night we were having all these family members on a back porch, like 10 Panamanians just, like, talking around, like, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying just to listen, to follow, and they turned and looked at me to ask me, like, what I thought about something, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am so sorry, I did not get that. And I heard them say, oh, ella no entiende, like, she doesn't understand, like, kind of the, like, sad, it wasn't a big deal to them, but, like,
right,
kind of
but a little bit of pity. Yeah,
and I dropped my heart in my head, and I just felt so awful. I had to excuse myself, go to my room and just bawl and be like, God, I am so disappointed and feel so awful. I just need your provision here. And he did. Like, again, eventually I would come to understand the jokes. I mean, that's, I think, the epitome of when you really understand Spanish is, like, the guy who has no teeth, who has, like, the worst enunciation for the foreigner, and he has all these jokes that everybody else gets, and I'm like, I got that one! Okay,
I belong!
Yeah, so, when I humbled myself to say, it's not going to come from me. Like, it has to come from you. That and just a million other aspects of what a volunteer is called to do. Yeah, he was enough. He was more than enough.
So as a result of having this long drawn out application process, being the foreigner, being the new person, not feeling like you fit in, feeling inept, all those really difficult challenges, how did you choose to live bravely and authentically as a result of all those things?
Sure. So I remember, kind of in hindsight, having this revelation that nowhere else in my life have I been called to be so humble of myself and giving of myself at the same time. And it really made me a better person. And obviously God was a huge part of that. So, like, Peace Corps calls you to do that, and then each volunteer does that to a certain extent, depending how much they want to do. And then I feel like Christians, we're called to that daily anyway. So putting those together, especially with the language barrier, because I would, come to a job where it's like, oh, I don't know if I understood them entirely, or maybe that's just the way it is here for them not showing up to meetings, or, I don't even know my place to be like, hey, if you were my best friend, I'd call you out on that. Like, you should show up to that meeting, blah, blah, blah. Be like, how do I do this tactfully and diplomatically as kind of this international professional ambassador?
And respectful of their culture and their way of doing things.
Yeah. So, like, every day when I would wake up, it was me and God. When I would go on a run, it was me and God having prayer time. When I would, do my morning routine of doing quiet time before I, like, was prepared with my, shield and armor battle to, like, go out and do whatever I had to do, whether it be work in the schools or, like, talk to Panamanians or go to the city and have to talk to agency officials or just people, essentially, politely beg for help to do projects. Like, I had to do it with him in hand to walk it out and believe, just even if I had to say out loud to myself a prayer of, okay, God, you've got me, you've got this, please just use me as your instrument. It really equipped me to cast out all those negative voices in my head and to actively make the choice. Okay, God, help me to be brave. I remember writing that actually in my journal one day. Like to just really understand and own what that word meant, like to have courage. I was like, I've never asked for that before or since, really, in that same way. But yeah, to embrace all the positive God had for me and them.
So if someone were to come up to you and say,
I'm applying to Peace Corps or I'm applying for a job and it's taking forever and I am getting conflicting advice, or someone who is in a new job or in a new situation and felt like they didn't belong or fit in or weren't qualified. As a result of your experience, how would you encourage them?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the context of Peace Corps, I mean, people serve for millions of different reasons. Like, they just want to help people, or they want to see the world, or they want to improve their language skills or their culture skills, or just, heck, do something while they're, young and free. So I guess I'd ask, like, why you were doing it. And it, again, doesn't have to be the same reasons as mine. But to, I guess, just see where they're coming from, that what they're hoping for they would get out of it, and to see, I guess, if they had some sort of way of coping when things get tough. And also encourage them, and maybe give some advice on, just based on my experience, what might be helpful. If, like, they really wanted to do Peace Corps, I very much loved my service and the people I work with, and I still keep in touch with them and hear about the implications of the projects we all did together, various environmental projects, like at least 5 major ones. So I would advocate for it. I would say it comes with a grain of salt, and there's pro with con, but the pro definitely outweighs the con, and or not so much con, but challenges, I should say. And I would encourage them to not give up, to keep at it, and keep a support system, I think, whether it be family, friends, if you are a person of faith or anything like that, and have that kind of community to lean on. I think that's the kind of support system you need for those times when things get hard, not other people to add to your doubt and guilt and whatever.
A team of people.
Exactly. And to be honest, I'm going through it again, having come back from Peace Corps and having to do job searches again. Like, it's a skill you need to learn and develop, because it will help only further down the line when you grow even deeper in life, faith, and jobs and whatever. So.
But it's easy now, right? Because you did this once, and now you totally trust that it's gonna all turn out awesome.
It is a little deja vu. It's just a little more of the, like, similar experiences, but deeper waters in a different way. You're always going to be challenged a little bit more. I think once you take a step of faith, you're going to be called to another one. So there's always possibilities for growth.
Unfortunately, I guess.
Yes, for better and worse.
Yeah. Okay, so now I have some fun questions that are totally unrelated.
Okay.
So the first one is, what are you loving right now? What's exciting in your life that you want people to love too?
I've been able to really get quiet with God. And when he puts, like, a song on my heart, I totally share that. Or when there's just been something fun, like on a news feed, I share that, because it's like, okay, we need the happy. You need to remember to still live those things, even if you don't feel like it's your quote-unquote normal life.
Right.
Or you don't feel like your quote-unquote normal self. And even just getting closer with family. I've been here through summer and fall, which I've very much enjoyed, and then I'm more of a summer girl than a winter girl, so trying to...
living in Panama for a while, winter's a little rough.
Yes, I must admit I loved adapting to the tropical environment. Getting into, I don't know, knitting and crafting. Yeah, holiday things.
Happy things. That's fun. Awesome. What is your favorite meal or food or snack or whatever?
So, it's been kind of funny. I've been somewhat stressed out from this whole process, and having to eat a lot of yogurt to keep myself feeling just well fed with like food being my medicine. But through that, I've loved mixing different fruits and granolas and yogurt and having kind of a different parfait of the day.
Yeah. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
So, kind of piggybacking off of that, what are you doing to take care of yourself?
Oh, I am a runner. Like, I deal with stress, other than, of course, talking with God and doing a quiet time every day, which is the pro of not being employed, having time to do that. But yeah, I exercise to get rid of my stress. It was a great habit I think I developed in Peace Corps to just go out, and it was great. I saw my community members every day. I got vitamin D, and just got to have quiet time with God. So I either run outside when it's not snowing and -5 outside, or I go to the gym or just do a workout tape or something to get those endorphins. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last question is, what are you doing to be brave?
Oof. Well, currently, actually, I have had this weird job offer. Well, a bunch of other applications are in process to go to DC part-time for a short-term job that, had I known that description existed, I wouldn't actually have applied to it. But every person I've talked to has given me a positive push to try it, from friends from grad school or Peace Corps or family members or even an old mentor and who works in DC and does consulting similarly. And he really convicted me. He's like, I think you really need to trust God on this one again and just kind of leap for it. So next, let's see, Wednesday in 2 days, I'm going back down to DC to check out this job in person and look for apartments, and more than likely probably going to move to DC with a part-time job that I will probably have to temp on the side to make up for it, and really not waiting for the government job that has all the benefits and can pay rent without even worrying about it. Really just putting myself in God's hands and making myself be uncomfortable again.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is brave. Well, thank you so much for sharing all those things and being vulnerable and authentic with your story. And I'm sure that there are people, we can all identify with things not going smoothly or predicted, or feeling like we fit in or belong or are qualified. So I know that there will be people who can really be encouraged by your story.
Since I spoke with Emily, she accepted a full-time job and moved down to Washington, D.C. She's been on the job a couple weeks now and is rocking it. So shout out to Emily. Here is a giant hug through the internets, and I'll text you an emoji high five. Keep being brave and being awesome. Love you, girl. On the next episode of Stories of Unfolding Grace, I talk with Shauna Beth Paradiso of Flippin' Bean Creations about her struggle with infertility and multiple miscarriages.
2.5 miscarriages, but I would not have changed a thing, because it made my relationship with God something that it needed to be. And he knew the trials I would face as a parent, and he knew things about me that needed to change, and he sent me the children that would change me.
If you're interested in sharing your story of unfolding grace, head to my blog, beckylmccoy.com, and click on the submissions button. I can't wait to hear from you. Thanks again for joining me. I'm really looking forward to next week.